Now, turn with me over to Luke chapter 19. Are you guys with me? Okay. Luke chapter 19. And Luke's account of the triumphal entry gives us just more details that are important here. Luke chapter 19, verse 41. Luke 19:41. This is Jesus making his entry into Jerusalem. Now, as he drew near to the city, he saw the city. Now, as you come over the Mount of Olives, over the top of the Mount of Olives, the city of Jerusalem just kind of suddenly appears as you come over the crest of the hill. So as he comes over the crest of the hill there, he saw the city and he wept over it. And this word wept here, don't picture Jesus on the donkey with like a tear streaming down his cheek. It means to cry uncontrollably or to convulse. He's ugly crying at this point as he's riding this donkey. Saying, now look what he says in verse 42, if you had known, even you, especially in this, your day. This is your day that your king comes. This is the day that Daniel spoke of in Daniel chapter 9. This is the day the Lord has made, when salvation comes to you. If you had known, even you, especially in this, your day, the things that make for your peace. Comes riding on a donkey, right? The animal of peace. But now they are hidden from your eyes. You know, the common people, as we see here in this Palm Sunday story, the common people of the Jews received Jesus gladly as King and Messiah, but the religious leaders will crucify him. And then Jesus here, he sees prophetically down through history, down through time to 70 AD, when Jerusalem will be destroyed by the Romans. In verse 42, he says again, if you had known, even you, especially in this your day, the things that make for your peace, but now they are hidden from you. Now he sees down to 70 AD. For days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment around you, around Jerusalem, surround you, and close you in on every side, and level you, the city of Jerusalem, and your children within you to the ground, and they will not leave in you one stone upon another, because you did not know the time of your visitation. This is the day. This is the day the Lord has made. This is the day that Daniel spoke of. This is the day that Zechariah spoke of. Your king comes to you, bringing salvation, riding into town on a donkey. Now, turn back to Matthew chapter 21. Matthew chapter 21. And again, in verse 9, the people are crying, Hosanna! Hosanna to the Son of David! Save us now! They're acknowledging him as the Messiah. And then they say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. Now listen, tune in, give me your attention here. The rabbis taught the people that when the Messiah comes, that he should be greeted with these words from Psalm 118. The official way to greet the Messiah when he comes is to say to him, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And that's how the people greeted Jesus on this day. They greet Jesus as their Messiah, saying, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Now, Luke's gospel tells us it was at this point that some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to Jesus, teacher, rebuke your disciples. Tell them to be quiet. Tell them to stop saying that. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. They're greeting Jesus as the Messiah. That's what the Pharisees told the people to do when the Messiah comes. They're just doing what they were taught. And the Pharisees say, tell them to stop. Tell them to be quiet. To which Jesus said, well, if these keep silent, then the stones would immediately cry out. Because this is the day. This is the day the King comes. And if the people refuse to acknowledge Jesus as King, then creation will. The stones will worship him. So you get the scene here of what's happening. Now, at the temple in Jerusalem, at the temple there in Jerusalem, there was a choir made up of Levites, made up of priests. There was a choir that sang in the temple, and they sang around the clock. They had different, groups that would come and sing, and so there was always worship at the temple all the time, day or night, 24 hours a day. There was a choir singing at the temple. I mean, isn't that great just to think about? I mean, imagine if you couldn't sleep, or maybe you had, coffee late in the day or something like that. You couldn't sleep, and you're just, laying awake at night. You're restless. Maybe you've got something heavy on your mind. You could go down to the temple anytime, day or night, and just sit and listen to worship, and listen to a choir worshiping God. Join in with them. So there's this choir there at the temple that's singing. There's always worship going on. Jesus makes his triumphal entry into Jerusalem on Sunday. And on Sundays, every week, every Sunday, the temple choir sang Psalm 24. Psalm 24. And they sang Psalm 24 responsively. And what I mean by that is that part of the choir would stand in the temple above the eastern gate, and part of the temple would be down in the Kidron Valley below, outside the eastern gate, and they would sing Psalm 24 back and forth to each other, so that those in the valley outside the gate, they would sing up to the choir that's up in the temple above the gate. They would sing out, "Lift up your heads, O you gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in." Then the choir up in the temple would respond, "Well, who is the King of glory?" And then the choir down in the valley would cry out, "The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O you gates. Lift up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in." And the choir in the temple would cry back, "Who is the King of glory? The Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory." That's the background music to this day. That's the soundtrack that's playing. As Jesus made his way on the donkey down the Mount of Olives towards that eastern gate, presenting himself to Israel as their king. And the choir is singing, "Open up the gates so the King of glory can come in." Amazing.